location where unknown forces strike the edge of ecology.
So hi Vic, you've been telling me some interesting stuff. You're in a band and you've got some interest in this field of symbolism in music.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. I've had an interest in music for a long time, and I've had an interest in, for lack of a better word, I don't know, esoteric science, I guess you call it, for a number of years. And yeah, I guess I was sceptical about a lot of symbolism and stuff being misconstrued over the internet and stuff. Yeah, for a number of years, there's certain things like Alex Jones and stuff like that, you know, kind of things like Bohemian Grove kind of hit home of certain things.
It's obviously we're looking at pop, essentially it's pop culture, music's pop culture, but like we were talking to a guy, Mark Devlin, the other day, who was saying that there is symbolism in music, but you're a musician, I mean you're obviously doing your own thing, but do you feel some other music or pop culture of any sort maybe has other meanings in it?
I think that all culture can have hidden meanings. The word, the clue is in the nature of the word. It's culture. It's cultivated, like a culture in a petri dish.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, it's designed. You know, if you go back to Hegelian dialectics.
The Hegelian dialectic.
Yeah, if you go back, well, you know, they basically realised that they could control history. You can make history by engineering it, and that's what culture is. It's engineering. Well, it goes right back to the Greeks, the whole thing of getting across certain ideas, concepts, you know, mystical or political, you know, or religious, you know,
it's like
for means.
Both sides of the argument, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the culture, the idea of culture, you know, maybe in ancient times had a different kind of significance to what it does now.
Yeah.
It's about higher aspirations, higher aspects of our being and stuff, you know. There's the art, you know, expressed through the arm, you know, expressing what the subconscious is trying to say.
Yeah.
You know, well, not only that, it was just you know, art, poetry, you know, sculpture, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of it is to encapsulate certain high spiritual ideas and maybe encoded within them. If you go back into Egyptian art and stuff, encoded are methodologies of a perennial wisdom that's, you know, in all cultures. We're talking about cultures, has a form, has a seed in all cultures, you know, and has been originally through art has been tried to relate. Has been encased within art to try and relate to certain aspects of the consciousness of different levels of structures of that society. You know?
Like archetypes.
The different archetypes have different meanings depending on a need-to-know basis of where you are on I'm going way off.
No, that's fine, Vic. So I buttonholed you here a little bit.
Yeah, I must say I'm a bit stoned.
No, don't worry about that.
I've just come from a studio recording and
we're
stuff.
very accepting.
Had a few Jazz Woodbines.
Don't worry about that. But
I didn't expect to be in it.
We'll wrap it up in a set. But just to come back to the music industry, I'm very particularly interested in just any thoughts you might have on that in particular. Do you think that songs, some of those have meanings in them, or album covers and publicity photos, sometimes have meanings in them more than we think? How do you feel about that idea?
I think, going back to art, you know, the human being is just a conduit for higher expression. So sometimes that can be manipulated, obviously through mind control techniques, predictive programming, you know, with a purpose and an agenda. But sometimes it can just be natural osmosis or inspiration. You know, I mean, if you talk about the Beatles, you know, how much of the culture actually influenced them, and how much of maybe, you know, you say that was a kind of osmosis of what did I say earlier? MK Ultra kind of filtration and the whole drug thing and the whole CIA operation. But the whole thing is the 60s and the explosion of ideas and that. Now, how much was that just a spirit of the time and orchestrated, or how much of it was actually orchestrated? You know, but nevertheless, I mean, being a songwriter, I can write things that have just been influenced by other things, you know, I'm influenced by culture, by my environment, and then think they mean one thing, and drop symbols in there because that's the language of the time, without actually knowing. This is like, until I started studying about 20 years ago, you know, what these symbols actually mean, and they mean so many different things on different levels of understanding and meaning to different groups of people, you know, on a need-to-know basis. So, yeah, and so they are archetypes, so they are out there. They are out there, yeah, and they are positive and negative.
So you can't always blame the artist.
There's sigils that can be used by the magician.
Yeah, right.
But you know, it depends whether you're a magician. It depends what K you have on the end of magic. You know, it depends where you're actually, whether you're a magician or a sorcerer. You know, and that's a whole other subject. But like, yeah.
So you can't blame musicians necessarily for picking up on the archetypal images in their society. They're picking up on the culture.
I'm saying it's probably a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
You know, but like, especially, you know, the Beatles. If you want to take the Beatles, you know,
it's a good example.
You know, you say, you know, there's a lot of Kabbalistic, symbolism in there.
Yeah.
Kabbalistic numbers. You know, obviously Revolution Number 9.
Oh,
you know?
yes.
John Lennon was obsessed with
Mark Devlin mentioned Revolution Number 9 specifically, yeah.
Yeah, well that's
on the White Album, isn't it? Yeah.
Random number, but John Lennon was obsessed with that number.
Yeah.
And it's a Kabbalistic number. It's one of the most important Kabbalistic numbers because it relates to the Sefer of Yesod, which is. Well, it's got a lot of significance.
Okay, I guess people best do their own research on that one. We won't quite get it in a noisy pub. But I know the number 9, a guy called Glyn Cork we spoke to years ago, said the number 9 was very synchronous in his own life. It came up a lot.
It's 666.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 18. It's 999.
Yeah.
It's 72. You think of all these numbers, what they relate to, Bible, whatever. You know, 72. Yeah. It means something. Different combinations of it means something. It's alchemical, basically. But like, yeah, that's a whole another world to go into.
Okay. Well, that's great, Vic. Well, that's gives us something to think about, and hopefully that's a different view on some of the ideas we've covered here on the information in the past.
The information where unknown forces strike the edge of ecology.